Welcome back. So Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says the 2025 budget was a learning curve for his office, the Government of National Unity and Parliament. And some risk analysts agree, adding that while the third time wasn't exactly the charm for all, Budget 3.0 does signal a clearer road ahead despite the speed bumps. Business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo has more.
Third time's the charm? Not exactly. But there's a growing sense that Budget 3.0 landed better than its predecessors in February and March. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says the crash course in coalition governance has forced a rethink on everything from policy to public messaging.
In the budget, I made an assumption that it's business as usual, and only to find that I'm entered into a crash because it's no longer business as usual. So everybody is trying to draw lessons. We ourselves have got to draw lessons because we're not used to have an irritation of talking to other people when you do things.
The executive director at the Center for Risk Analysis, Chris Hatting, says Budget 3.0 sends a more realistic signal of the work that needs to be done to realize substantial growth.
It sends a signal to markets, to investors, but the South African government and National Treasury realize some of the domestic and global constraints on growth and investment.
Among the real talk moves, more than 219 billion rand allocated to fixing the electricity grid, a move Solar Africa CEO David McDonald is excited about. And FutureWise MD Arno Jansen van Vieren is equally charged by the boost to early education. However, the minister had to drop Peter to pay Paul on some budget items. Boipelo Ndimande, Chief Financial Officer at Momentum, is worried the 4% fuel levy hike will squeeze consumers dry, while the company's youth employment portfolio head, Kosnati Mahlangu, says the budget left unemployed youth out in the economic cold. Hatting argues that this is where the money being poured into debt repayments come in, but only if there is a concrete plan to not just stabilize debt at current levels, but substantially reduce it in the medium term.
South Africa is in the fortunate position where we own a lot of our debt, so that does make us a little less exposed. But the longer we sort of just keep consolidating around the 76, 77% mark, that really does crowd out other forms of spending.
No VAT hike, 68 billion rand shaved off in spending, but still no room for big dreams. The pressure's on for Treasury to turn promises of reform into actual economic momentum. For now, Budget 3.0 is a political balancing act and a financial survival guide until Treasury can get to the point of balancing the books for growth. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Johannesburg.